Hey, welcome to Grace Church Online. My name is Pastor Nathaniel. I'm so thankful that you are with us today. We are starting a new series today that we're going to jump into here in a little bit called More Than a Feeling. Talking about emotions, and we are continuing in this online format like we are here as we're updating our auditorium as that continues to be on good pace for us to continue to move forward with it. New things are happening. And so we're thankful for what God is doing in that. We continue to pray as different moving parts need to happen in that, but we continue to pray what God's going to do in and through our church community now moving forward as we love God and love people. And so we thank you for being here today, and we're going to jump in, and it should be a good service. So thanks for being here. Do you remember learning how to drive a car? If you remember learning how to drive a car, you know that you obviously, things we take for granted now, that you put your key in the ignition, you turn the ignition button, because most of the time we had a key that we would put in and turn, and you would check your mirrors, right, look around where you're at, press the brake, shift it into drive, slowly move your foot off the brake, and push the accelerator slowly, 10 12 on the wheels, 10 and 2 on the wheels, on the steering wheel, and off you go. Now, obviously, with ignition, you push a button, and that's a different conversation. But you learn how to drive a car, and one of the important things about a car is that as you're driving down the road, there are thousands of parts in your car that you take for granted that you don't know are happening and going on, and you're thankful that they do as you're driving on the road, going here or there on a trip. You're thankful that it's working, but you don't think about it until something happens. And when something happens, all of a sudden you realize there are many things under the dashboard that you were not aware of. And many things you don't need to be aware of until something happens. And so that's why we have a thing called a dashboard, right? A dashboard is something that as we're driving on the road, it shows us how fast we're going, our fuel, how like the temperature of the engine, our RPMs, how everything's running, going on. And then you can kind of see that there are some lights that turn on that are warnings of something is not right. And in case you're wondering all different things, here are 52 different dashboard indicators, which that's a lot. But a similar way with our car, as a dashboard light comes on of if your oil is low, or you left a door open, or your engine is in danger of overheating, or you need to check your engine, you got tire pressure low. There are many things of showing of what a dashboard shows you about your car. And so similarly, you can look at a glance of what might be a problem, but you got to dive in deeper to understand what's happening with your dashboard. And similar with a car dashboard, our emotions will tell us many things of how things underneath the surface. So emotions in themselves are not bad. God isn't a God of emotions, and He's given us emotions, and so emotions in themselves are not bad. But there are some emotions where you have a feeling or things kind of creep up, and you're like, why do I feel like that now? Like, why is that emotion coming out now? There's something deeper going on in our heart that Jesus wants to meet us in. And there are things that our body will tell us, take for granted, for the many things happening in our body that we often don't even realize until something goes wrong, that our emotions are like a dashboard indicator that there's things going on inside of us that we may need to take care of. And I am not an expert in emotions. I don't claim to be an expert in emotions. This is not, if you're looking for that talk, that's a different book or different conversation altogether. What I want us to do is over the next 4 weeks is we're going to get 4 different emotions and how the gospel interacts with us in them. And oftentimes we look at emotions sometimes as either they are evil and they cannot be trusted and we should not have emotions, or it's follow your heart wherever you want to go. Wherever your heart leads you, wherever your emotions are, there you go. Both of those are dangerous. Neither side of those are a good way to approach. Our emotions are our allies as we enjoy our journey here in life, as we go through pains in our life, and they show us of things that we need to be aware of. And so today, we're going to talk about the emotion of jealousy. And jealousy, just kind of on the same page, there's a book that I read that's called Why Emotions Matter. It's a great book. I'd encourage you to check it out if you're interested in diving more into this content. We're talking about more information on things. They did a great job in that. But they have this quote about jealousy, and I thought it was helpful to kind of frame it this way. That jealousy is the uncomfortable feeling you get when you see in someone else's life something that you want to have. Jealousy is a unique combination of pain because you're reminded that you don't have something, and a little bit of aspiration because you hope that thing could make you happy. So by our definition from this book, what they're saying here is jealousy does not include any feeling of hostility towards the person who has the thing that you want. If there's hostility involved in that, we're going to use the word envy. So jealousy is that uncomfortable feeling you get when you see someone else's life having something that you want to have. That's jealousy. So that's kind of our working definition of jealousy. It's that, well, that's regarding wealth or beauty or status or what someone else has or doesn't have. And we get bombarded with these things of the TV shows that we watch. Like if we just had this relationship or was doing this, then life would be great. Social media has helped none of this as we look at people of what they have, what they're doing, where they're traveling, all the things that are going on and happening. Many of these things of jealousy don't make us happy. And marketing campaigns, the goal of marketing campaigns is to show you, hey, if you had this, you'd be happy. But because you don't, you need this. And so the feeling of jealousy is very unpleasant as it looks, as we look and we're dissatisfied with our lives. And it leads us to want, we'll have a desire in us that we're missing something. It's a desire in us that if I just had this, I'd be happy. Or if I don't have that, so something must be wrong. And I think jealousy, from the definition we talked about, jealousy in of itself, that feeling, isn't necessarily a sin. I think jealousy is a wake-up call, that feeling inside of us when we have, if I just had that, life would be better. I would be happy if I just had that thing, or if this was in my life, or my life was like this or that, or I felt this or that. I think that's a wake-up call or almost a slap in the face to show us that we have this feeling of desire that is unmet, that can lead to obsessiveness or self-pity, that can lead us resenting God because God gave them that and not me that. And we go, and so what happens is the jealousy grows. If we don't acknowledge jealousy that's in our life, it can grow into envy. And envy is where the issue comes, because then you are against a person or people because they have what you don't have. And you're mad because they have it and you don't. And you no longer like that person, talk to that person, you resent that person because they have what you don't have. It could be a person, it could be a people group. So jealousy of itself, that tinge you get inside of you of, I wish I had that. That desire inside of you isn't the problem. That's a check engine light thing of, I wonder what's inside of me right now that feels like if I had that, then I'd be happy. Or what is in my life now that I'm not content with. So we're going to look today into the book of James. And so James chapter 4, James was the half-brother of Jesus. He was the pastor in the church of Jerusalem. He was the guy who didn't believe Jesus was the Son of God. And you can think about this of what it would take for your brother or sister, for you, what they would have to do for you to believe that they were Son of God, the Messiah, the chosen one. Like, that would be a lot. And James ended up giving his life to, believed it fully. And so James is a great book of very hands-on, very what to do, taking Jesus' teaching and applying it. Like, he's hands-on and very, very practical what's going on. So we're going to look at chapter 4. We're going to look at 3 verses today, 3 points, one per verse, and we'll make it through some important things for us to think about when it comes to jealousy. So let's dive in. So, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but do not have, so you kill. You covet. Some of your translations say envy or jealousy, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. So what James is saying here, that there's something deeper going on of why we covet, or why there's jealousy inside. There's some deeper things going on. Then he expands on these things. So let's go our first point here. The first one is that jealousy starts with desires. If you look, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from the desires that battle within you? These desires that are in you, that if I have that car, and it's a car that makes me feel comfortable, the status thing, if I just had that job promotion, if I just had that relationship, if my kids just had that relationship, if I got the promotion at work, if my health was this way, if my house looked like it does on HGTV, then I would be happy. If my dog acted like whatever the dogs do, but if there's things that we want of status and success and relationship that war inside of us, and so jealousy starts with the desires, and it's an unmet desire. It's a desire that if I had this thing, that's where we go. We buy that thing. We go out and we buy that item that if this is going to make me happy, and then it sits on a shelf and it gets dusty, or it doesn't satisfy us what we thought it would, because we're looking for the answer for that desire inside of us in a place that was never meant to fill that desire. So jealousy starts with a desire, starts in our hearts. And then jealousy damages relationships. That's what James says, you desire but you do not have, so you kill. I think that's a reference to when Jesus talked about in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6, when he said, if you hate a brother or a sister, you have killed them or murdered them in your heart. That's what James is talking about here. That they're pretty much dead to you. And so you covet, you're envious, you have this jealousy inside of you, this desire that if I had that, I'd be happy, and because they have it, we're done. But you can't get what you want, so you quarrel and you fight. You do not have because you did not ask God. Jealousy damages relationships. Envy turns friends into rivals, blessings into burdens. We end up resenting people. Envy damages ourselves because we end up making reckless or short-sighted decisions. Envy is damaging to our relationships because it introduces hatred to the mix. And when jealousy becomes envy, it's no longer just about feeling a combination of loss and desire. It's about resenting the person or people who have what you want. In Genesis chapter 4, we read the account of Cain and Abel. And if you know the story, Cain and Abel both brought sacrifices to God. These are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. And Abel brought meat to sacrifice. Cain brought veggies from his garden to sacrifice. And God made a preference choice, and his preference was the meat of Abel. And Cain had jealousy inside him that turned to envy of God chose Abel over me, of my gift. I don't like it. There's a desire. I wanted this to God like my gift. And what we see in that is it turns out that there's an extreme thing happened where Cain killed Abel. And God even warned him about that coming, and it turned out to be disastrous. It's the first murder in the Bible, in the world. Because jealousy, if it is unnoticed, can breed into envy, and then it no longer is just about that thing. Your relationships are severing. And we are called to love God and love people. And so when we start to sever relationships over what they have or what we feel like they have and we don't have, that grows into breaking relationships with people that don't need to be broken or don't need to be. We're called to love people, and we can't love people if we are jealous of them. And so then that transpires into that jealousy reveals our trust problem. We see in verse 3 here, when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. You may ask, God, if you just give me this car, if I just have this car, then life will be okay. If I just have my health, it's going to be okay. If I just get this job, like if I just have my retirement set up, if my family ends up doing this, if my house and my kitchen look like what I see on TV, if I just have these things, or my relationship status is this, then life is going to be better. When we pray these kind of things, we are praying not to, God, your will be done. I want to be about you. I want to love you. I want to know you more. I want to worship you. I want to follow what you have for me. You are my solid rock and my firm foundation. It's no longer about that. So jealousy goes from a desire that's in us to affecting relationships in envy to now saying, God, you don't care about me. Do you really love me? If you loved me, this wouldn't have happened. This would have happened. And so then we look at God and we see that that at the root of jealousy is really a trust of God problem, that we don't trust that God's going to provide. And one of the ways to help us battle jealousy is something called gratitude or thanksgiving. You may have heard the song of counting your blessings, name them one by one, count your many blessings, see what God has done. And that's a way to us to counteract jealousy, is to count our blessings. What all has God blessed you with? What has God done in your life? How has God blessed you? He's blessed you in amazing ways of things that we take for granted all the time. That when we start and we stop and we look at the many blessings that God has given to us, our jealousy and our envy starts to decrease, because our perspective on, instead of this thing that I don't have, I see the God who has all good things come from the Father in lights. James 1 talks about this. The God has blessed me with many things, and as we count our blessings and we practice gratitude, then our perspective changes and we start celebrating what other people have and celebrating what God has done for us instead of resenting what God has given to them and not given to us. And it changed our perspective, and it's a very good thing. So the cure for jealousy isn't getting more, but trusting God more. When we feel the jealousy creeping in, when we feel that coming inside of us, that if we got that promotion or that relationship or the recognition or the success, we're missing something. We're wanting something so badly that we forget the one who gives every good gift. So we need to stay focused on reminding ourselves. And also, the good news of the gospel is that Jesus came in and he came into the world full of envy and jealousy. And the people were jealous of his popularity. That's what some of his conflicts came into. And people were jealous of his authority and his miracles that he did. And the jealousy that people had of him was ultimately part of the reason what led him to the cross. And instead of fighting back, he gave his life for us. And the cross, Jesus absorbed the penalty for our misplaced desires. At the cross, we see that Jesus took the place of where our misplaced desires are. And in the resurrection, he offers us something that jealousy can never take. It's a peace and a joy and a purpose in life of security in God's love. So when jealousy rises up in your heart, we don't have to fight it alone. we can look at the cross and remember that Jesus is enough. His love for us is secure, His plan for us is good, and His Spirit is shaping our desires of what truly satisfy us. So this week, our challenge this week is this: that when that feeling of, more than the feeling of jealousy, when we feel that desire in us, we need to ask the question, to pause, and what desire am I chasing? And can I trust God's goodness here? What desire am I chasing? And can I trust God's goodness here? And then pray that, Jesus, you are enough for me. To remind us that Jesus is enough for me, as opposed to that thing that I feel like I need and I can't live without. And that God's not faithful because He didn't give that to me. Feelings aren't the enemy, but we need to be aware of our feelings because they point out things in us that can derail our lives, both relationally and spiritually. So this week, be aware of jealousy. Take some time to evaluate with God. God, is my heart, do I have jealousy and envy in my heart? And if He shows that to you, confess it and ask Him to remind you that He is enough and to celebrate all the things that He has done in your life. Let's pray together, and then we'll be done. Father, I thank You for being a great God. I thank You for being a God who meets us in our feelings. I thank You for even giving us feelings, and You being a God of feelings. And let us not see feelings as the enemy, but may we see them as a gift from You. And as we have these things that are kind of check engine lights in our life, like jealousy, that show that there are some unmet desires in us that we're trying to meet in places that aren't of You. May we take time to thank You for all that You've done, for all the many blessings that we have in our life. May we take time to remember that Jesus, what You did on the cross is enough. And through resurrection, we have security in God's love and in His family and joy and peace. And the Holy Spirit is transforming us and transforming our hearts and desires in that. So thank You for being a God who walks with us and a God who's not done with us. And I thank You for being who You are. Help us to know You and to follow You and love You more. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. And thanks for being with us this week. We hope to see you back next week. Have an awesome week.